enormous impact on people's lives, from corporates and obviously people who've suffered depression and going through very challenging times. And you talk about emotional fitness, and I love that terminology, because I think it's obviously something that we tend to focus on out there, but we rarely focus on ourselves and what's going on in here. So I suppose you've got a way of tapping into that and making people sort of open themselves and get the mirror out.
I think head, heart and body, so thought, feeling and action, is the marriage of that indicates our level of emotional fitness, because what I find is many of my clients are high achievers. So I work with elite athletes and celebrities, and many of them have great success in the external. However, when it comes to an intimate relationship, they're emotionally bankrupt. And so the work I do with emotional fitness, because I have to live it every day, I'm a little bit like an aerobics instructor that gets out there every morning and does the class. Because I've lived with the three primary areas that contribute to emotional unfitness are denial, anger and sadness. And if you don't have a portable coping mechanism when those issues come up, you end up just living on the superficial level.
Yeah.
And at midlife, it's a crisis or a celebration.
Yeah.
You've got to do a bit of a stock take.
Yeah.
And but I started at 33 and started to write about that. And trauma and addiction is the area I started in jails and rehabs. But I found that my client base just started to really, really extend. And I think a pivotal turn was, and I was in shock, I was invited by the Australian National Council of Drugs to go and talk in Parliament House down in Canberra, and it was a Positive Stories website, and I was just thrilled to be asked to talk. And at that time, I think it was in 2005, Tony Abbott was in the back of the room. I don't even know who he was. And I'm not a political person, but he came up to me afterwards, and I think as a dad, and he just said, "I've never heard this before. I'd really like to talk to you." And I went, "Oh, okay." And I didn't know who he was, and I didn't expect to hear from him again. And he came to Brisbane, and we met at Waterfront Place, and we had a conversation about this work and how I'd like to roll it out. And at that time, the Howard government was in, and they rolled it out nationally. And it just took off, and it was just, I was just gobsmacked that this little program with my little finger puppets, that in my pyjamas, trying to get clean and sober, at 33 years of age, it made sense to a lot more people than just people recovering from drug and alcohol. And that's where it just sort of started to grow exponentially.